Hello friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Here are 10 things that I've learned the hard way in keeping fish that I wish somebody had told me in the beginning. 10 lessons that I want to share with you that maybe you can use, not just in fish keeping, but like number 9 and number 10, you might be able to use in just your everyday life. So without getting too philosophical, let's go ahead and jump in to these 10 things that nobody told me that I learned the hard way. So here we go. You know me and lists. I've got some lists here. And number 1 is, inevitably, unless you are a very, very unusual exception, you are going to make mistakes that kill fish. That's going to happen to all of us. In some cases, it might not be entirely your fault, but you'll find that it happens to everybody. You're going to do something or forget to do something, and you're going to have a die off, and sometimes it's going to be a fish that you become very, very attached to. And so all you can do is figure out what you learned and move on. But that does happen in this hobby. And it's probably not as impactful as losing a pet, let's say like a dog that's been a friend of yours for 15 years. That can be pretty devastating for some people emotionally, but it will hit you in some cases harder than in other cases. And their lifespan usually, for most fish, I mean, some can live a very long time. I think a frontosa can go 25 or 30 years, but a lot of these fish are really going to be with us for just a few years, and their life expectancy in an aquarium can be 4 or 5 years max, tops, and depending how old they were when you bought them, right? So keep that in mind, and it will happen. Number 2 is that a clean looking tank is not always a healthy tank. And this is a very common mistake, and sometimes people work real hard to get their tanks to look perfectly pristine, and in doing so they create stress for the fish and also disrupt the ecosystem, if you will, and create ammonia spikes, things like that, and end up harming the fish, stressing them, or outright killing them. So if you look at a tank that looks really clean, you should also test the water, because a clean looking water could actually be high in ammonia. So as a tank matures, it's something that you need to worry about less, but certainly in the very beginning, like in the first several months after setting up a tank, that tank can look cloudy and be healthy, or look very, very, very clean and pristine and be unhealthy for the fish. Just something to keep in mind. And don't make this common mistake. Don't move tank water from an established tank, from a healthy tank, put it into another tank and think that that tank is ready to go, because the things that make that tank established, the beneficial bacteria, is not necessarily in the water column. There's some in the water column, and the fish that you put into that new tank will last for a day or two, but their waste production will eventually exceed the bacteria you brought over from the established tank. You must bring something that is rich in beneficial bacteria, and that could be filter media from the established tank. It might be bacteria that you can buy, like these quick start formulas you can buy, like Fritz Zyme products, right? Things like that, Dr. Tim's. There's different things you can get that will immediately add bacteria to an aquarium. The clean water from your clean tank is not enough to get a tank established, and could result in, number 1, killing some good fish. Number 3, this one's important and probably has application all over life. The only person who has to like your tank is you. You're the only one that really has to approve of your tank. And it's okay to ask for opinions, send a video in to some YouTuber and have them give you an opinion about your tank. But at the end of the day, if you like your aquarium, that's it. End of story. Doesn't mean you shouldn't seek advice or listen to advice, but you're the one that has to enjoy it. And if you do, that tank is a good tank. Doesn't matter what anybody says. Number 4, some of the best lessons are the ones that are going to take you almost to the point of quitting the hobby. I once heard this quote. It said that your biggest adventure was on the other side of your biggest fear, right? I don't know if that's entirely true. I don't think getting in a tank with a bunch of sharks is going to lead to me having a great adventure, but that's beside the point. The point I'm making is that sometimes the most learning, the most powerful learning in this hobby occurs in the wake of something that was just a disaster, a catastrophe. Whether you're learning about diseases, like I had to learn with colomaris, and recently a disease that looked a lot like ick, that wasn't ick, right? You can learn a lot from these circumstances, and sometimes the hardest ones, the ones that almost get you to put those tanks on Craigslist or on eBay or just get rid of them. Sometimes those lessons are the ones that are the most significant and will end up making you the best fish keeper. And I'll tell you, there isn't any veteran out there in fish keeping that hasn't had a moment that they really felt like they were like this close to burning out. And the difference between them and someone else who isn't in the hobby now is they got back on the horse, right? They just hung in there. Number 5, we get stupid when we stop learning. The biggest crashes, the biggest aquarium crashes, the biggest mistakes usually occur when we're feeling kind of smug or like we know it all. So this is like the theme in my channel is always be learning, right? And we all learn from each other. Those are 2 like important themes on this channel. I don't think I'll ever get to a point ever, and I don't think anybody really should, where they say, okay, look, I know it all. You can know a lot. You can know enough to maintain your tanks and have healthy and healthy fish overall. But I'll tell you something, there's always another lesson just waiting to happen. And so keep your mind open and always be willing to learn from your own experiences and also from others that you take advice from. Number 6 is that there's good information. There is good information out there on platforms like YouTube and Facebook and places like that, but there's also a tremendous amount of garbage. And at the end of the day, anything that you do with your tanks has to be your own responsibility. You can never make a mistake, and I've certainly followed some advice from time to time that blew up on me and that had a horrible outcome. But at the end of the day, it was me that chose to take that advice. And it was me that didn't do further research or really think it through, and as a result, ended up with a bad outcome. So realize that there are a lot of folks out there that can sound real good and really come across with a lot of feeling really heartfelt about what they're saying, with a lot of conviction, but the information they're imparting is not sound. It's not good. So always get different opinions before you do anything really major or drastic, and realize that there's a lot of folks on social media platforms that love to hear themselves talk. Number 7, the goal of fish keeping should be fun, relaxation, and joy. And if it's stopped being fun, if you're not getting joy, if you're not relaxing, if it's not something relaxing for you, if it's become work and troubles you, something's wrong. You got to change something. And my advice to folks is, especially in the area of MTS, is multiple tank syndromes, is maybe you've taken on too much and now it's all work. And maybe you need to consider cutting back to when it was fun. I'm right now at about the limit of what I can handle comfortably in the amount of time that I have available to me between my family, grandkids, and other responsibilities, some work that I do on the side, and other things like that. I've got about as much as I can handle, as tempting as it would be to start up other tanks. You gotta weigh that, and if it's not fun, make it fun. Change it, right? Go back to when you were having fun. Make things simple. Simpler the better. All right? And number 8, be willing to accept help and advice. So keep an open mind. Be willing to listen to what folks have to say with a grain of salt, but realize that some people out there who are offering advice are just being critical of you and are in some ways toxic. And if you run into people who are toxic, that after they give you their so-called advice, you feel crappy, those folks are probably people you don't need in your life. These are folks you need to eject. I have quite a large list, and I'm not necessarily boasting or proud about it, but I do have a very large list of names of folks that are on a blocked list. My channel doesn't exist for them on YouTube. They can't find me unless they change who they are, right? They create a new identity. And these are folks that at some point they made a comment, and I can take criticism. You can tell me I'm doing something wrong, or maybe I should consider something else, and I will consider it. But if you come at me in a way that is just obviously just to be critical and just to be mean, or to try and create a bad impact or emotional effect on somebody, I can usually smell that right away. The person gets flushed down the toilet. They go on to the blocked. So it's advice that I give everybody. Don't let toxic folks make you feel bad about your aquarium. And number 9, be reluctant to change what's working. So you hear something and it sounds wonderful. It's a great idea, and there are great ideas out there. But you look at your tank and it's been running for a long time, and those fish are colorful and they're healthy and they're great fin display, and there's little aggression. They're getting along. Take your time. Be real slow about making changes in an aquarium that is getting great results. And that's I can't stress that one enough. And above all, and I guess this kind of speaks back to the prior point that I made. It's have fun. Have fun in the hobby, and if you're not, just make it the goal. Like, what's your goal in fish keeping? Have fun in fish keeping, and that can involve many things. It can involve sitting down and just looking at your fish. It can involve working on the tanks, right? I actually enjoy doing maintenance and working on my aquariums. It can involve creating friendships and relationships with people that are fellow fish keepers like you, folks I've met through my channel, who I've met at shows I've gone to, conventions and things like that. These folks are actually they're important to me. I consider them friends. Expanded my community, and because of that, I say, yeah, attend shows, be a fish nerd, and go to conferences, and go to your local club meetings if you can, and make some fish friends. Enjoy the heck out of communicating with somebody who shares a love for something like you do. It's really, really, really cool to engage with somebody who has a common interest, right? So there you go. Now, what did somebody not tell you when you started in fish keeping that you wish you had learned sooner, that you had heard sooner, or that you learned the hard way through some hard lessons? Let me know in the comments, and maybe we'll do a follow-up video and talk about those points. And by the way, before I end off talking about friends, I want to give a shout out to Darius over at Northfin, who now has a special veggie krill and mix 2mm pellet size that has approved by Ben on the on the bag. There's an approved by me, and very, very cool. So now I have my logo on a bag of food, I have a banner, and I have a bobblehead. So I have really officially arrived. So I'll tell you what, we'll give away some Northfin food at the Saturday Cichlids and Coffee live stream. So that's on Saturdays at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Central. That's noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you care to support the channel, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, and consider supporting the channel by becoming a monthly supporter. A Patreon starts for as little as $3 a month. And I'll put a link to a Patreon info right up here. This will give you all you need to know about it. Here are some tips for fish keeping. And if you want to subscribe, hit me in the mug down here. All right? Thank you, my friends. You're the best. I appreciate you tuning in. That's it for me. Bye-bye.